Hi, this is Janet with Try It Like It, Create It, and today I am here with Fairy Stampers video design team working on a card that's going to be more about technique than it's going to be about designing a card. But what I'm working with to begin with is just the Bulrushes stamp, and I'm going to be stamping this onto a jelly plate in a number of different colored inks. Let me just move you so you can see. There's my ink pads. So I'm going to stamp this onto here, and then we're going to create a background onto this kind of card. What is this? Craft cardstock. Okay, so I'm just going to start here with some of the lighter colors to begin with, and I am just inking up my stamp and I am placing it. So I am just looking to build up texture on my background. I'm not really looking at orientation of the bulrush, just filling in spaces, and as I build I will be overlapping as well. So it's kind of hard to see the stamping here on the jelly plate, but it is there. And like I said, we're just trying to build up some texture. I'm using about 5 different colors here of ink. Alright, so let's just give this a go and see if I can pick anything up just by using the stamps. And I am getting some texture here. So I'm going to just rub this down good and lift up. And hopefully you can see there is something happening on there. So I'm going to go at it again and just continue to randomly stamp and pick up those images. So we'll just do this a couple of times, and like I said, we're just really trying to make some texture happen. And then if you'd like, you can go ahead, I'm just going to use the background here as I can add directly onto it. So if you don't have a jelly plate and you're looking to just add or build up texture, you can definitely just stamp away. So either technique, both techniques work. And like I said here, we're just building up texture for our next process. So there we have it. It's subtle, it's light, I like it. So I wanted to add a bit more texture to my background, and so I brought in a darker blue color, and I'm using that just to add a little bit more around the edges. And then I also went ahead and took my stamp pads directly to the paper and kind of pounced on there to get some color. And so, and then I took it upside down, you can see here, I rubbed it onto my scrap piece. So what I'm really trying to do here is, you know, build up some texture. I'm going to bring in my homemade gold glimmer spray and actually just add a little bit of that here to the front as well. So once again, like I said, just really trying to build up some texture. All right, so let me take my heat gun to that and we'll see how this looks. Okay, for our next process, we're going to be embossing and stamping. And so I am just going to use one of the words out of this new Balloon Sentiments stamp from Fairy Hugs. So I've taken Celebrates, but you could take any one from there. Okay, for our next step, we're going to emboss. So I've got my Versamark, and I am just going to cover this entire piece of cardstock here with Versamark. And then we're going to pour our gold embossing powder onto it and cover the whole thing. And I'm going to set this aside for just a second while I dump my embossing powder back into the jar. Okay, and then we're going to take our piece and emboss it. And let me see where my tweezers are so I can hold on to it. Alright, so there we go. What you want to do is take it past that orange skin kind of look, and if you want, you can always do it again. So if I take this and put more Versamark on here, and more powder, and then we're going to heat that all up one more time. Alright, so we're going to let that cool, and then we're going to stamp directly on top of it to finish off our card. Okay, so off camera I have set this up on my works board, and what I have here is I have my stamp and I have the embossed paper, and I'm going to use my StazOn in black, and we're going to ink up the sentiment, and we're going to stamp right on that embossing. And the reason I went to the works board is in case I need to stamp it more than once. I wanted it to stay in place, so I have it taped and magnet in place. And let's see. Yeah, I think it's going to need it more than once. So let me ink this up again. It's a very delicate stamp, and we're putting it onto a textured background. So all right, and since it moved, that's going to be our last chance to make it work. All right, so there we go. And then all I have to do is cut this down to size, and we will put our card together. All right, so we're finally ready to put our card together in our last few steps. So I have a tape runner here, and then I have some foam tape. I have a metallic marker, and I have the pieces that we have created. Now, I cut this down to size, and I want to show you that I saved these gold strips, and I will put them in my scrap box and use them for something else. Now, I'm going to raise this up off the surface a little bit with the foam tape, and so I'm going to go around the edge with the gold marker, and it's a little bit darker than the embossing, but I'm okay with that, and I'm just going to stay right on the edge of the cardstock and get that covered in gold as I go around. And any slips with the pen, I'm pulling it towards the back, so if I slip off the edge, I want to slip to the back and not the front, if that makes sense. All right, so that's ready. We're ready to put everything together. All right, so I have my card base here, and then I cut out a piece of lightweight blue paper to go on it. So we're just going to run the tape runner on that. You can use any kind of adhesive you want. And then I'm just going to eyeball it into the center of the card. And then we have the background piece that we made, and I'm going to tape runner that as well. And once again, kind of visualize where I want that and stick it down. And just to point out to you as a design element, if you can see, there you go. There's these gold dots on there that are kind of heavier than some of the other ones, so I wanted that to weight down towards the bottom. And then our last step here is to put our foam tape on the back of our sentiment. Grab some scissors and just cut this down. Peel the backing off. And then we want to decide where we want it. I know it's going to be flush against this side. I want it up above those gold dots. So I think, oh, it's going to go right there because it started to stick. So there we go. Let me know what you think down in the comments.